I think it's a real loss for Singapore, though. The fact that an airline that was based out of here, foreign-owned airline that was based out of here, is basically pulling out. It signifies something about the cost of operating here in Singapore and the viability of even running an airline in Singapore. And they said outright that they knew about the layoffs ahead of time.
The government knew ahead of time.
Yeah, NTUC and all that, right? So they could already start working things out now. I guess keeps Ng Chee Meng occupied even though he doesn't have a cabinet position.
He damn ready to jump on and go Facebook posts already, no?
I mean, the joke on Reddit is that Wala Wala is going to become Mala Mala. With all the big China brand with deep pockets coming in. If you love this podcast, chances are that you value real, authentic conversations. Now imagine a conversation like that about someone you love. And that's what we do with our service called Folklory. We hop on a 30-minute call with you or someone you choose and turn that conversation into a beautifully crafted, personalized podcast for your loved one. A gift that shows how much they mean to you that they can listen to forever. We'll use everything we've learned from interviewing more than 1,000 people across 20 countries over the past 5 years, including the Prime Minister of Singapore, and help you create one of the most meaningful things you've ever given them. And if you want to make it extra special, add on our limited edition Folklory speaker, styled as an old school cassette tape, so they can play their story anytime, anywhere. So check it out on folklory.com or reach out to us on WhatsApp at the link in the show notes. And now, on to the podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old humor.
Good old humor, man.
Yeah.
How's the week, man?
Nice. We're finally at Friday.
At Friday.
It's been quite an exciting week, right? You know, a bunch of things that we're starting this week.
Like what?
I mean, little projects that we're starting this week that we, will announce when the time comes, right? But also, we actually performed last night at stand-up comedy, right?
Yeah, man.
A little secret performance that people didn't know that Yala But would be at.
Yeah, because next week, the Happy Ever Laughter show is starting. 19 June, Thursday. It's going to be 9 shows. So, we learned from our previous stand-up expertise experience that, the audience is the best teacher, as the wise words of Rishi Budrani. So we tested it last night, courtesy of Jinx, who reached out after he heard us on the radio talk about how we want to test our material.
Yeah.
So we did a 8-minute, 20-second set.
Yeah. And the huge crowd, the huge audience got a chance, sneak preview of what we're doing in our set.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about it, man?
Of course, we're still working on it. The next few days, there's going to be a lot of workshopping the jokes. We're going to be working with Selena Tan and her team next week for rehearsals.
Yeah.
So it's like a full-on production.
Yeah. I'm quite glad that we're going to do something that's probably never been seen at Happy Ever Laughter also, right?
Yeah.
Very, very different. So,
just that last night, when we had our cue cards, which is part of the act, we realized that the comedy club, which was, very intimate, the lighting was not the best for that.
And our eyes are not what they were 10 years ago, right? We don't have cat eye abilities.
No, literally, even amongst my friends that day, someone just messaged in our group, hey guys, this sounds damn uncle, but are you all having trouble with vision? No? Then everybody shared that now, even reacting to light changes is a real problem.
It's a real problem.
When my daughter starts crying and Steph and I are out, we go into the room and it's dark, right? I can't see her for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, this is age, man.
And driving at night and street lights, all that start to, get a bit ghosty, right?
Yeah, that's why.
And 1 hour less of sleep as what you have normally, hits you like a truck like that. Right?
Correct.
The next day. It affects your vision, everything.
But we're going to be fighting all those age-related issues next week.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch of stuff in the works. Exciting week.
And the cool thing is last night we also got to preview some of the other performances as well. We watched them workshop their material in front of the audience. Prem John, Don Xiao, Jing Xiu was there also, right? So they are damn good. They're funny. They're all, it's going to be a really good time. I can only imagine what it'll be like when all of them, plus us, all come together and do
And it's going to be about the elections.
Yeah.
Right. And Singapore politics, which is fun. And you know that because it's a live stage audience, live performance, it's not broadcast on TV.
Yeah.
People will go to places that can be quite like, oh my God, he said that, she said that.
Yeah,
oh my God.
exactly.
And we're going to try our best to, keep up.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
But either way,
Cool.
we'll still be doing this podcast. Just let everyone know we're not pausing anything.
Yeah.
We'll still be recording during the day and performing at night.
Yeah.
That's how hard we'll be working.
Yeah. And this weekend I'm going to score a lot of goodwill points or try with my wife. Because the next few weeks are going to be intense.
After your man COVID you had last week.
Fuck you lah. Okay?
No, but someone in on Instagram sent us like the scientific basis for man flu and why a lot of these diseases hit men a lot harder than women.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, there's
a scientific backing, is it?
Yeah, apparently there is some scientific backing to it in terms of tolerance of pain or how your immune system responds and things like that.
Oh,
so yeah. You should check out our Instagram.
Yeah, okay, cool. But yes, the show will go on. You can feel things getting a little more political also, but we got some big news to cover today.
Yep.
But before that, what's our regular spiel, Terence?
If you're new here, which I think some of you are, because of elections and everything, please make sure to like, share, follow, subscribe. That's the only way that you get regular updates when we do our 3 times a week podcast.
Right? And if you want to work with us, you can reach out at contact@ministryoffunny.com or check out our website, ministryoffunny.com, where you can find out about the other shit we're doing. Lately we've been getting more and more emails with people's comments and thoughts, which is great.
Great, yeah.
So even if you are not looking to work with us, but you have something you want to tell us, even if you're angry with us, just email us.
And we are on Reddit. We look at Reddit. Once in a while, I jump in and I comment and everything. Yeah. So, just keep the conversation going.
Hell yeah, man. Cool. All right. Jumping right in.
A lot of news from the aviation industry this week. Mostly quite bad, quite negative news. We're going to focus on the stuff that's going on in Singapore.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's bigger news happening elsewhere, but in Singapore also, aviation industry not exactly having a great time. Why is it so?
It was the news that came out on 12 June, I believe, or 11 June, that Jetstar is going to be ceasing its operations. Jetstar Asia. Because Jetstar is owned by Qantas. There's Jetstar Airways, which is based out of Australia. There's Jetstar Japan, which is based out of North Asia. And Jetstar Asia, which is based out of Singapore. So on 11 June, they announced that they will cease operations on July 31st with over 500 employees in Singapore being affected.
Yeah.
How did you hear about the news?
Through the news, essentially. But yeah, I'm literally wearing a t-shirt that I bought from Okinawa. Very, very classic Okinawa brand, right? Seal. And I set Jetstar to go to Okinawa.
Because they're the only
direct flight from Singapore to Okinawa. Yeah. So I've set Jetstar recently, and I remember the experience was not bad. For even as a budget airline, it was quite a smooth trip and no big hiccups or anything along the way.
So generally, your impression of Jetstar Asia is okay lah.
Yeah, quite positive.
Yeah. Same for me. I would say, I think everybody has a subconscious ranking of budget carriers and all that. And Jetstar would always be in the upper half for me lah.
Because it's Australia owned, is it?
Of course lah. Just worship the Angmo. Anything the Angmo do, confirm better half. Screw you, Terence. It's just the experience lah. I always thought even the web experience, the app experience, okay lah, not bad lah.
And they are the main operator in T4 right? T4 was their home ground, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't know this before, but they are only the 3rd airline that was based in Changi Airport lah. Basically, it was the other 2 are just Singapore Airlines and Scoot, obviously. But they are the 3rd airline based in Changi Airport. So now with them gone, there's only the 2 Singapore carriers.
Oh, I did not know that also.
Yeah.
As in the HQ for Asia is operating out of
Changi Airport, yeah.
Also, it's the hub lah. It's the hub.
It's the hub, yeah. So it's kind of, big milestone. We're losing one of the airlines that are based here in Changi.
And I also saw it in the news, and I mean, we have literally been subject of a company liquidating, screwing a bunch of people over, with all the stakeholders only finding out on the day itself.
Yeah.
So when I saw articles that, oh shit, even the employees found out on the day itself at 7 a.m. And then there was a town hall, a physical town hall in Changi Airport, but people could also dial in virtually later on in the morning, where they talked about this. Then I was like, oh shit, that must be sucky as hell, man.
Yeah.
To find out. But since then there have been news coming out about the retrenchment benefits, the severance packages, and what Jetstar is doing. And NTUC Singapore also coming in.
Yeah.
And you're seeing Ng Chee Meng in the news a lot. But at this point, it's 2 days later. Well, what are your thoughts about everything that's unfolded?
Doesn't spell good times ahead for the aviation industry, especially Singapore. I think although we see in the news that Changi, gave 9-month bonuses, and I think Scoot gave like a 4.9-month bonus or something like that. But there's also rumblings that, tourist visits are down for Singapore, and there's a bit less demand. And this one seems to be maybe the first ball that dropped, right? Showing that stuff is slowing down. And we are literally as a transport hub, we are losing, I think, 5% of the flight routes out of Singapore, 5% of the traffic, right? That Jetstar Asia had. So other airlines now need to scramble to either fill that. And I mean, Changi Airport probably has to put in some incentives for them to fill those routes as well.
Yeah.
So I think Scoot came out and announced they're taking over certain routes, like the one to Okinawa, for example. So that's good. But it seems like it's worrying times ahead for the aviation industry.
And I mean, we spoke to someone in the industry as well, and he said even he found it as a shock.
Yeah.
Because I would have thought that, so for new listeners, I used to work in the aviation industry for like 5 years, not like flying or anything, doing digital marketing with SIA at Scoot from 2009 to 2014.
Yeah.
But of course, things have changed a lot back then, since then. But I mean, of course, the aviation industry went through a shit time during COVID. But everything up till a few months ago, even a few weeks ago, it felt like, it was rosy. It was back to pre-COVID levels.
Yeah.
The outlook is fine. The companies like SIA giving bonuses and all. So this one, I felt kind of a shock.
Yeah.
Because, so on one hand, we keep hearing sentiments about a recession coming. We've been hearing that for like 2 years.
Yeah.
With Trump coming and putting all his tariffs, the new world order, and Lawrence Wong and co painting such a dire picture of what's coming.
Yeah.
But then when you see like the aviation companies and all giving bonuses, and generally, you go to Changi Airport now, it feels a bit buzzy, right? So when I saw this, I was like, oh shit, that is a big shock.
Yeah.
The more you read about it, the more you realize, this might be the consequence of where the industry is headed, Singapore's role as a hub, Changi Airport, becoming more and more expensive for these carriers, which ultimately might translate to the consumer.
Yeah, exactly.
This is one big option less.
Yeah.
And I also was thinking, how come Scoot and SIA swooping in, and even the Changi Airport and SETS all swooping in? But it makes sense, because if Singapore loses its status as a hub, every airline will suffer.
Yeah.
And it almost felt like they were vultures. I was like, they were like, oh, fucking, let's fly to Okinawa, man.
Yeah.
But I think it's par for the course.
Yeah. And I mean, all these Singapore carriers, I think because I think Temasek was probably involved in how they were set up, right? There's a national interest in seeing them succeed, right?
Yeah.
And then a national interest in seeing Changi Airport succeeding as well, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that they're swooping in like that. But I think for the consumer, it kind of just means the cost of everything probably also go up, right?
Yeah.
These things all come at a cost. All these transitions also come at a cost. But I did want to go back to what you were saying earlier, right? About the recent news, or fairly recent news of all the big bonuses that SQ employees and Scoot employees were getting, right?
Yeah.
I also have heard from people in the industry that on paper it looks like boom times for them and all. But you got to also recall that COVID was like it was down times for them, right? People no pay leave, cut pay, half pay, or they're furloughed and everything. And a lot of that stuff you never even hear about in the news at all because it happens at department level or something like that, right? So that actually, in some ways, all these bonuses and all are also to make up for those couple of years, right? The shit was tough,
Yeah.
So all in all, if you even it out, maybe things have improved a little bit, but that was also because there was a revenge travel period after COVID, right? Where everyone was traveling after COVID, but now things have settled down a bit, and people starting to realize, hey, shit, the cost of everything is also going up everywhere around the world, and can't travel as freely as before, right?
Yeah. And I mean, that was the official statement by the Jetstar chief executives, right? That it is because of rising costs. Because like the one thing I realized from being in aviation is everything about where an airline is located in an airport, be it the boarding gate and all, it all comes with a cost.
Yeah.
And there are so many, there are entire teams in every airline that look at optimizing the cost. Because there's so many things at play, right? There are the cost for the boarding gates, the cost you pay for maintaining the aircraft at whichever airport your aircraft land at. Then there's oil costs.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, now some analysts are also pointing out, because yes, this came as a shock to the industry, but some people are even saying that in 2022, which I didn't know, Jetstar was kind of like,
they didn't want to move, right?
They didn't want to move to Terminal 4.
Yeah.
Because realistically, anyone who goes to the airport, I mean, Terminal 1, 2, and 3 are the more premium terminals.
Yeah.
And with Jewel, I think Terminal 1 went from being, like the oldest, a bit disheveled and all, to like, hey, shit, back up there.
Yeah.
But Terminal 4 has a very different vibe. And it's also situated separate from all three. Like, to get from any of 1, 2, 3 to 4, right, it's actually quite far.
Yeah.
I don't know whether things have changed, but you have to take a bus or something. So in 2022, when Changi Airport Group asked Jetstar to relocate to Terminal 4, they were actually very hesitant too. Because they also operate a lot of code shares, which just means that on a website, when you buy a journey from point A to point B, there might be a code share in the middle that is operated by a different airline. But Jetstar did a lot of that, which means that they can potentially fly their customers to routes that they themselves don't operate in. And a lot of their partner airlines were based out of Terminal 1. So it makes sense, because if you land from a partner airline Terminal 1 to go to Jetstar, you just don't have to walk that far. So they were very hesitant to move to Terminal 4, because that means that the time in between flights, passengers need a lot more time. But I mean, some analysts are now pointing out, of course, hindsight is 2020, that them being forced to move to Terminal 4 might have been because they couldn't meet the cost for the more premium terminals. And that was the resistance. So it's almost since then, because I think the past 4 years they've been operating, or quite a few years they've been operating at a loss.
They said 4 years.
Which is quite common for airlines. But if this is not your national carrier, a bit hard to survive. Like, if Singapore Airlines, even if shit goes up, shit hits the fan, being our national carrier, the government will have to support it. But for Jetstar Asia, being owned by Qantas, which is based out of Australia, a bit hard for them to sustain something that's loss-making.
Yeah. But I mean, that's it, right? Like, I think it's a real loss for Singapore, though. The fact that an airline that was based out of here, a foreign-owned airline that was based out of here, is basically pulling out. Right, it signifies something about the cost of operating here in Singapore and the viability of even running an airline in Singapore. So these kind of things don't look good for Changi Airport for sure. And in terms of travel, for travelers as well, like the fact that a budget airline option to come to Singapore is gone. Also doesn't bode well for our tourism, right?
Yeah, correct. And I mean, there was an article written by, someone we know, Zat Asta at the Peak Singapore. That actually, I thought, pointed out some things that I didn't think about it. He basically pointed out that even the passenger service and security fees that passengers pay on top of every ticket price has actually been going up the past few years. So I think in it was 46.
Where was he writing this?
On the peak.
On the peak,
Singapore,
okay.
yeah. So it was 46.40 previously, and now on average every year it increases by $3.
Yeah.
So I think it's not the most transparent because when you're buying an airline, you need to click on the breakdown, when you're buying an air ticket. And sometimes those breakdowns, you almost look like, okay, I don't really care about the breakdown. I just look at the final price.
Yeah.
But all these fees come because of the cost that the airline bears operating out of a certain airport.
Yeah.
And I mean, you hear cost of living as such a big problem all around the world, Singapore especially. But I think a lot of these airlines face the same problem even when they are operating out of an airport. Because, like last time also, right, before I worked for aviation, I used to wonder, how come some airlines operate at the boarding gate is so close, some are so far.
Yeah.
Of course, there are many factors at play, but one of them, I believe, it is the cost, how much they're willing to pay.
Yeah.
So I know, like, one perspective I've heard is also, but if Jetstar cannot survive, how come Scoot can survive? Of course, management, how they run is one thing, but Scoot is also like part of Singapore Airlines.
Yeah.
And there's a national interest to preserve it.
Yeah.
I think they are doing quite well, but I think it's different. You can't look at them as apple to apple.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough.
It's tough, man.
I mean, that's where, I guess, for you, like, and your friends in the aviation industry, do you still keep in touch with them? And was there a lot of shock and everything?
I mean, I haven't reached out. One of my ex-teammates, I think, went over to Jetstar a few years after I left.
Okay.
Because a lot of these low-cost carriers, they use the same operating system and all.
Yeah. But there are a lot of Singaporeans who are hired by Jetstar, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because it seems like, 500?
500,
people have been displaced. And I guess the question now is, like, can they find equivalent jobs, like, with whether it's Scoot or Singapore Airlines or so, right?
So that's one thing that I found quite heartening, because so on one hand they find out on the morning itself that they don't have a job. It's pretty damn shitty, right? But I think subsequently, from when staff have been interviewed and all, I mean, seems like Jetstar is offering some not say benefits, but things that are making the pill a little less bitter to swallow. Which, I mean, even the staff said have been quite helpful. So I think they are offering things like a 4-week salary for every year of service, a special thank you payment, a bonus for the year, and also opportunities potentially within the partner airlines, including Singapore Airlines and Scoot. Which I thought, okay, I mean, hopefully that's true. It feels like, compared to other layoffs we have heard, where almost the government have to put some pressure, NTUC have to pressure, there's some things being offered.
And they said outright that they knew about the layoffs ahead of time. Whereas, like, I think they were caught flat-footed with certain layoffs like Lazada.
The government knew ahead of time.
Yeah, NTUC and all that, right? So they could already start working things out. Whereas the Lazada thing, it was more like they knew after the fact. And then they had to sort of pull Lazada back to the negotiation table. But I mean, in some ways, I guess keeps Ng Chee Meng occupied, even though he doesn't have a cabinet position.
He damn ready to jump on and, like, go Facebook posts already,
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, given where the trajectory of, like, closures and business closures and everything happening, this NTUC is going to be a really busy portfolio.
And I mean, to his credit, his post came out at 12 p.m. on 11 June. On the day itself. And he said, the news of Jetstar Asia's closure is a hit for many of the employees of the airline. They have contributed much to the airline over the years. And I went on to say that, NTUC and the another union which I never knew of, the Singapore Manual and Mercantile Workers Union, they were informed in advance. They've been working closely with Jetstar Asia to support the workers. The retrenchment benefits are in line with the tripartite advisory on managing excess manpower and responsible retrenchment. They are working with NTUC Singapore and NTUC's Employment and Employability Institute, E2I, who are going to be on site in Changi Airport to provide support. And NTUC is working with the partner airline. So, I mean, like, have to give credit where credit is due. This is what you would expect from the Secretary General of the NTUC. Because I don't know whether it's been that fast, the last few layoffs.
like I said, they were caught flat-footed.
They were caught flat-footed.
With the Lazada, for example.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about. I can't remember for the others, lah. But I mean, you do recall when we experienced that whole liquidation thing as well.
Yeah, it was a shit show, lah.
There was nothing like this, lah. There was no like public support or even from what we're hearing from employees also, right, it was a lot of uncertainty about their futures. It seemed like they needed to be interviewed again, even if to transfer within to within the organization and everything. And obviously for us as suppliers to the company, we were even more screwed, right?
Yeah.
So that was tough because it was tough pill to swallow because it was like everything was everything was being swept under the rug, right? Like, can't talk about it or that. Whereas here, I think there's a lot more discussion about it, and even the media also is much more seems much more proactive in getting different opinions from different people, right?
Yeah. So I mean, it feels a change. I mean, of course, the one thing we heard was like, hey, it's COVID, lah. You all shut up, lah. Okay, got so many things to deal with. But screw that, lah. When we found out, it was terrible, and even for the employees themselves.
Yeah.
So in this case, okay, it feels like at least this is a bit better than the previous instances we have heard. But I mean, CNA interviewed some of the customers. Yeah. Literally, they found out the day before that their flight the next day was going to be cancelled. And then they rebooked. So I think there was one guy, he was supposed to fly at 7. Yeah. He's like, okay, never mind, I'll rebook at 1 p.m. Yeah. He booked it. Yeah. Then he got another SMS cancelled. Yeah. Then on the day itself, he rebooked for 4 p.m. And then finally, I think 4 p.m. they could fly. Yeah. But that must suck, man.
And don't forget, now it's school holidays. So traveling now is not only packed, it's really expensive. Yeah. So trying to rebook flights, I'm just seeing some of the comments on Facebook. People are like,
shag, man.
I had to pay double or triple for a comparable flight, right? And they're not going to be compensated for the extra they're paying. Yeah. So it does suck for the customer. And I'm sure if you're in that situation, you'll be really pissed off.
Because even like a few weeks before, you could still buy tickets. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And I think even a few weeks before, you could buy tickets post July 31st. I mean, I think, it would be hard for the airline to just stop selling tickets. Yeah. Right? But in this case, I mean, I honestly don't know what the best practice would be. Should you let your customers know they don't need to inform the day before.
Yeah.
Right. But then internally, they need to tell their staff to start cancelling the flights like a week before. Yeah. Then people will talk. Because I think they even took the action of announcing it when there were no Jetstar flights in the air.
Oh, I see. So
which I mean makes sense because you don't want crew or anything in the air find out like, hey, fuck.
Angry,
angry. Yeah, so there are all these considerations to take. I mean, I really don't know how what is the best way to announce a mass layoff. But this one doesn't feel as shitty as the last few. And I'm sure there are some people who are like, oh, this is the best thing. Let's say you're considering leaving, right? Yeah. You work for 10 years. You're going to get like 10 months salary,
True. But you also be worried about the future. 10 months can pass very fast. And if you're not getting any income.
I would say at least there's one person out of 500
I'm sure.
who was thinking of leaving and all. For them, it's like, this is the best timing. But they cannot show it.
Of course. But I feel worried for Singapore. Like in the sense of, we want to be this transport hub, but if our tourist numbers and our airlines are also finding us too expensive to operate in, all this expansion and growth, was it for, right?
Yeah, because I think there was another article that came out today or something that generally the footfall, even for things like the ice cream museum in the Sentosa, right?
No, not in Sentosa, in Dempsey.
Dempsey is like down compared to previous June holidays. And you can understand why. I mean, you yourself, you go to JB now, you're like, JB, exactly. JB is the bomb.
Stretch the dollar. But
stretch the dollar.
It's worrying. It's worrying. Because I thought, at least the tourists will be coming in and propping up Singapore Inc., right? But seems like it's not enough.
But Lawrence Wong say the tourists are the ones who pay the most GST, right?
Correct, that's why you want them to come, right?
Yeah, I mean, literally 19 hours CNA article. Some Singapore attractions see fewer local visitors this June school holidays.
Yeah, not surprised.
But yeah, so that's why with Jetstar going, confirm the prices. I mean, when there's less competition, it's never a good thing, right?
Yeah.
So, and especially for routes like Okinawa, which I mean, I would have liked to go at some point. But now if the only option, but Scoot said they will take over, right?
Yeah. It'll be the only one. the only one that flies there direct. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's why maybe it's a lot of depressing news one after another, because our next topic also is about the exit of certain businesses, right?
Yeah.
But not from Singapore, but from very beloved locales that, a lot of us all have memories of.
Yeah. A lot of us, if you have born in the 80s or 90s.
I mean, the fact that we asked Tristan and he had memories of the place says something, right?
Yeah.
We all have memories of the place, maybe just at different phases.
Correct. Yeah. So I mean, the news that kicked it off was the announcement by Wala Wala, which is, I mean, a restaurant bar that has always been like synonymous with Holland Village.
Yeah.
That they are going to exit the lease and that they are planning to close. This was off the back of Crystal Jade La Mian Xiao Long Bao at Holland Village closing after June 30th. Yeah. So, and I mean, okay, so Holland Village, like what are your memories of Holland Village?
Wala Wala. I mean, okay, no, Holland Village, even prior to hanging out, Wala Wala was like, there were a lot of interesting bars and restaurants. I remember in secondary school studying at Starbucks there, or hanging out there to eat at like NYDC. Remember the cafe? Yeah, that kind of thing. NYDC and another. We actually shot some videos there also. Remember?
Yeah.
We shot Brecco's, right? Brecco's Cafe. Yeah, Brecco Cafe.
I mean, that was in 2018.
Yeah. We shot some couple hidden cam and even like a skit as well that we shot there as well at Brecco Cafe and all.
Yeah.
So we have like very, even professional memories there.
You had your meeting with your groomsmen at Brecco.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That's right. I really forgot. Yeah, for my marriage, I gathered all the groomsmen and had lunch at Brecco.
Yeah, Brecco.
Yeah, so, nice memories and hanging out at Wala, later in my adult years and all, listening to music on Friday nights. I think Surath and the band and all.
And Jack and Ray.
Jack and Ray is also there. Yeah. So everyone, has fond memories of hanging out there. Generally, all positive kind of memories, right? Yeah.
I mean, for me, my secondary school was, in Bishan, right?
Yeah.
But I was a Eastie. So Holland Village, I never used to go. But when we went to JC, RJ at that point in time was at Mount Sinai.
Yeah.
I used to remember Holland V as like, wow, where all the cool people go. All the cool, good-looking people go and all that. And I mean, I went once in a while. But it always felt like, wow, Holland V is the place to be.
Yeah, I think I was invited to my first like cool kids party at Holland V. Yeah. I ended up not going but
when you were in JC?
JC yeah. But
so the party was at a bar or club or what?
It was at a bar but then I think they lease it out during the day for events and and students. So there's no alcohol, but it's like cool that you still go to a bar and all that kind of stuff. You're not drinking and all, but it's supposed to be cool. So, I mean, a lot of good memories there.
And then as I got older, Wala Walas a few times. And it always felt like, wow, going to Holland V, it was different because it wasn't like Clarke Quay, where it was just bars and clubs. You could find there was a hawker center in the middle, right? Yeah. Then you have all these cafes. Then you have NTUC.
Yeah.
And everything and I think what was interesting was the hills were a bit sloped.
Yeah.
Which is not a landscape that you see in Singapore. But, so I mean, I also say it always felt like a cool place to go.
And the roads would be closed at night, right? That the crowd could spill over onto the road. And I think I remember there were times, it was just really packed and there were just people all over the road and, you kind of, it's so crowded, I want to get out here kind of feel.
Yeah. I mean, not some place that I would frequent a lot because I've always been living in the east or the Toa Payoh or something.
Yeah.
But it always, compared to Clarke Quay, which after a while I'm like, Clarke Quay is too much for me. Yeah. Holland V always felt like, there's a certain charm here. You get hawkers who have been there for 30, 40 years, you know. You get HDBs who are fucking 50 years old.
Yeah.
So it felt very charming. And then recently, a few weeks ago, I went during the day with my wife and my kid, and we went to that One Holland Village Mall or something. Yeah. But even getting there, right, I think the last time I had gone was maybe 1 or 2 years ago, and I realized, oh shit, the open air car park is now closed.
Yeah, that is One Holland V now. Yeah.
Oh, there's One Holland V now.
Yeah.
And then the coffee hawker center in the middle is still there, right?
Yes.
But the mix of clientele felt a bit like, it feels a bit different, not as charming.
Yeah.
And the Tambi bookshop is no longer there, right? When I went to One Holland Village, I actually thought, okay, this is an interesting mall, and I actually liked it.
Yeah.
But now looking back, right, the reason why I liked it was because it's not crowded. And Holland V, I felt it was very calm and peaceful because it wasn't crowded.
Yeah.
But then that's not a good sign. And literally, like I think 6 days ago, there was a long article by the Straits Times called "Empty Shops, Boarded Windows. Has Holland Village Lost Its Mojo?" La.
Yeah.
And I mean, now looking back, I think it has, man.
I think it has. And don't forget the Chip B Gardens opposite as well, which used to house a lot of interesting shops and everything. I think there's a lot written about how rental there is also squeezing out a lot of long time tenants, right?
Yeah.
And one very unique thing about Holland V is like what you say, like it's not like Clarke Quay where it's like, wow, you come out and you come out from the club and while your ears are ringing, then the next door is a bar, but if you just want to get a drink, you have to get alcohol and whatever. Whereas Holland V was like, okay, you're hanging out at Wala with your friends, listening to music, step out to get some fresh air. Oh, then you see another friend who, happens to be in the area. Oh, let's go get a cheesecake, opposite the cafe. Oh, you don't want cheesecake? Oh, let's just go 7-Eleven, grab a drink. Oh, that's too low class. Okay, never mind. Then we just sit at Starbucks, which is just there. So they're all like really within a stone's throw from each other.
Then if I need to get kangkong for vegetable, like
you go to market.
Go market. Yeah.
Or I want to read a magazine, I go Tambi and buy. So just having this mix across the road, down the road, just you think about it in Singapore, we don't have that, right?
Yeah.
Not anymore. It's all within the mall, different floors, enclosed. So yeah, there's this charm about Holland Village that over the years, I think it's just slowly declined a little bit. And yeah, even that one Holland Village, honestly, as a pet owner,
good,
I was very happy at first. I was like, wow, you can bring your pets there and everything. So yeah, I think it opened a lot of fanfare, I remember, and then I brought my 2 dogs there. But after a while, it was also didn't really make sense for pet owners because a lot of places you go, the pets still have to sit outside because of hygiene stuff, or they have to be in like prams or carriers, which also didn't work for us. And and a lot of the places that were pet friendly also were more of the expensive places, right? So you're like, I mean, you might as well go to any other cafe that's not exclusively within a pet friendly mall and spend your money there also, right?
Yeah.
So after a while, I stopped going there as well.
Yeah, I mean, and I remember feeling a bit like, how sometimes you go to a place and you feel energized, but certain times you go to a place and you feel mellow. And of course, if you're having like a rough week or something, you going to a mellow place is nice. But I found after I went there, it was charming in a depressing kind of way.
Yeah.
Because I think slow down, and it just feels like, hey, shit, this is don't know whether going back there would make sense. I mean, the good thing is it's an MRT. But yeah, it just feels like when the MRT opened up, it felt like, hey, Holland V more accessible.
Yeah.
This is going to be boom time,
Yeah.
But now it just, especially with Wala's closing, I mean, the Crystal Jade, I remember even when I was in JC, Crystal Jade was there, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It's been there for so long. So then this article was quite interesting because they talked to business owners who've been there for a long time, who have closed, who are trying to survive, who are making an active choice to not just move because they want to remain there and for the charm to not be lost.
Yeah.
But the same questions come up, like the future of Holland V, what is it going to be? Is it just going to be more of the franchises, more of the companies with economies of scale, or whether indie brands can actually survive?
I mean, the joke on Reddit is that Wala Wala is going to become Mala Mala. With all the China, maybe from big China brand with deep pockets coming in.
Mala. Oh my God.
But yeah, I mean, wow.
Shit, man.
Shout out to Wala Wala, because I think even back then when I was spending a lot more time in Singapore nightlife and all, it was such a nice counter programming to partying at Zouk or Clarke Quay, on Wednesdays. But you go to Wala Wala, you see a lot of familiar faces, right, that you see every week. You might not know them, but you all see each other at the bar. They play, a lot of them play rock classics, right?
Man.
So you can listen to your Guns N' Roses and what. It's not like Avicii and all that kind of stuff, the newer stuff. And yeah, but you still can get you can still get smashed and, have a good time and all that, right? But it's a counter programming to what Clarke Quay was. So it really filled a gap in like the Singapore nightlife scene, no?
Yeah. Because if you think about it, like, okay, now I don't know whether people who go out drinking and all, whether they frequent bars or clubs or what nightlife looks like. But what I liked about Holland V was, I mean, okay, I've never been a clubber. I go into a club, I don't know what the fuck to do, and then I drink, and then I just get drunk. I don't remember at night and all. But whenever I went into places like Wala Wala, it felt like, hey, there's live music.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like a club just like playing music that rings in your ear. And it felt like, hey, shit, this is different. Because even the live music at Clarke Quay is different.
Yeah.
And it's not like some sleazy bar or something. Now, I don't know what the replacement is. I don't know whether there's an even demand for people to go to a bar and like, drink or something. Now you're seeing the rise of like, the beans and beats, the afternoon coffee parties, which is quite cool. But it goes back to the same thing about the landscape of F&B in Singapore. And of course, rent and cost and all comes up. I mean, recently there was one article written on LinkedIn by someone I know who works at a big developer and shared the perspective from the landlord and a mall about how rent actually sometimes there's a lot more context to why rent is not necessarily as big a problem as some of the smaller entities have made it out to be. I think recently there was a few bakeries and all that closed, and they said because it's rising costs. And the argument there was that the average occupancy cost, which is the percentage of your sales that you pay to rent for the malls that his company manages, are similar to pre-COVID levels. And I mean, it was a thoughtful justification and all, and a lot of people in the comments were like, wow, thanks for sharing the perspective. I think it's good because I think we need more industry leaders to share the perspective. But when I read that, and you look at everything around, when it comes to the commercial properties, even residential, the average might make sense. But it doesn't paint a full picture of the people at the different ends. And you look at this, right? Yes, of course, the average rent of Holland V might be consistent. But the people who can survive are what kind of businesses? And the people who are struggling are what kind of businesses? And if you look even in aviation, maybe the only companies, the only airlines that will be able to operate out of Singapore are Singapore-owned companies. And if you extend it to the whole of Singapore, that's where it feels like, oh shit, yeah, Singapore might survive, but what is the makeup going to be for retail, for aviation, for residential? Because the average might stay consistent. But if the extremes get more extreme, right, then that sucks.
Yeah, correct.
And that's why, like, reading that justification and looking at this, it always feels with a bit of unease. Because the analogy, right, like someone could say on average, a lot of companies in media are doing okay. They're operating in the black on average. But we know, being a small company, that it's fucking hard. It's not easy. There are companies we know, there are huge production companies that get a lot of government gigs and all that are doing very well. But you cannot look at the average.
Yeah. And that kind of, when you go in with a statistics first attitude, right, you're going to miss all the little nuances of what it means to, between a landlord and a tenant, what it means to curate, the kinds of businesses that operate in your mall or something like that also, right?
Yeah.
Because if you come in statistics are blazing, you just think that, statistics don't lie, right? Yeah. But the feel of the place matters. And I just one small thing that I do remember about Wala Wala, for those who haven't been to Wala Wala, it's like at this corner of, like you said, a slope, right? And then there's a side alley that extends out towards what used to be the car park. And now that car park is entirely, it's one Holland Village already, right? And actually that side alley and all was where a lot of the spillover crowd would go to. They would go to smoke or have a drink and all that. So I spent a lot of time also just standing around there, hanging out with like the musicians who played there and all. I didn't smoke a while, but I would just stand there, hang out with them. And there was just this feel of like, okay, it's a quiet corner and everything. But now I remember when I went back there, and then I think I stepped into the alley or something. I just looked up and I was like, oh, it's one Holland Village right there.
I was at one Holland Village. And I looked, I was like, what else is just there?
Exactly. It's gone already. It's like suddenly your neighbor Suddenly your neighbor moved in next to your bathroom window and then you got no more privacy.
Because it's really overlooking the alley.
Yeah. It's like suddenly Big Brother is watching you, that kind of feel. Yeah, no
And
more.
we filmed in that alley also
We
before.
filmed in the alley in one of our videos, I believe, with another YouTuber back then, right? Yeah, so that even just that alley next to Wala had its charm. And when you start to use up the land space and make sure everything is more properly, efficiently used, then everything just feels so crammed and it just changes the vibe of the place.
Yeah. And I mean, that article also mentioned the perspective from landlords or people who run malls that, they play a very active role in making sure the mix makes sense.
Yeah.
But the downside, right, is now, right, whenever I see a charming place in Singapore, right, in my mind, there's really a calculation. It'll be like this for 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
And if people have that sentiment, whether they want to even start an indie brand, whether they even want to go check out a nightlife place, it cannot be the case that people accept it as the norm. Why you want to start something cool? Because at the end of the day, a chuggy will just come and kill you off.
Yeah.
Why would you want to go check out this place or even move to this place if you know, all the charm in this area, it's probably not going to last. And that's damn sad.
And yeah, less people think that, if people think that, it's just Singaporeans just clinging on to their past and everything, right? Don't forget, at one point, even Monaco magazine, they opened a store in Holland Village in 2014.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I think they were selling merch and magazines and stuff. So they saw it as like a cool destination that they would recommend people to visit from around the world, right? They would recommend it to come visit Holland V. So we've not just lost local Singapore businesses. We've lost an attractive, possibly a big tourist attraction that could have drawn people here. A lot like, the very artistic streets of London. There are like markets in London that people know that when you visit London, you have to go and check it out, right?
But Terence, if they open Mala Mala,
you will be there, the first one in line. Mala Mala, like some bubble tea franchise, Oh, wow, it's boom time, Who needs Wala Wala when you got Mala?
That's their tagline,
Yeah.
Just on the boards that come up. Who needs Wala Wala when you got Mala Mala?
Yeah.
No, but exactly right. It might suddenly you open Mala Mala, you open all these bubble tea shops, and Holland V is revived. But it's revived in a way that feels like it's a bit soulless,
Correct. Yeah.
And that is the sad thing, That is the sad thing. That's why like when Ong Ye Kang said the PQM model for tendering for healthcare clinics and all.
Yeah.
There's rent is 30%, but the qualitative stuff is 70%. I don't know whether it's going to be extended to places like this, Because I mean, certain people that were interviewed for this interview, I think Original Sin or this Bind Artisan or something who closed down. It feels like they've been there for so long, and there must be some value that is quantifiable. Because looking at the picture, there's little farms there now. Surprise, little farms is there. But all the coffee shops, the seafood restaurant, hawker stalls and all, if that dies out, right, sad, man.
Yeah.
I think when Tambi bookstore closed, a lot of people also felt like, hey, this is an institution, man.
I think that was the first shoe to drop, right? Yeah, I mean, don't forget Holland Village at one point also. Wasn't there the case of a couple that walked around naked in Holland Village? That was how funky it was. I think a Swedish man and his Singaporean girlfriend walked naked on the streets of Holland V, and it was a big scandal back in the day, right?
Yeah.
And got arrested and everything. But yeah, it tells you, the Holland V vibe was something special.
Yeah. And I mean, I've also heard another rebuttal to all this rising land costs. Like, the nature of business is you have to evolve. You have to adapt, Terence. This is the way of the game. If you can't, then you have to move out. Too bad. I mean, yes, that is true. But every business, especially in this day and age, is really adapting to so many things, right? This feels like adding on something that needs to be managed better. Because, it's just sad. And then it goes back to, what do we see the future of areas like Holland V at? If it's, you want to get a good tenant mix, that has all these different things, but no soul, then that will be damn sad.
And some industry people also bring up New Baru, right? New Baru as maybe an example for how the government and businesses and tenants can all work together, right,
Yeah.
to find a way to rejuvenate a place and have it, be very unique compared to what you would find at a typical mall with like bubble tea and mala, lah, right? So what do you think? Yeah, what do you think of New Baru then?
I mean, I haven't been to New Baru and I got
At
no
all?
desire to go.
You haven't been at all.
Wow.
Then why you so down on it if you haven't even checked it out?
I mean, okay, so just call me a hater and all,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
when I hear people talk about it, it's cool. And I think once I went past and the line to go in was nuts.
Meaning like
No, the driving past,
to drive in.
to
Okay.
park.
Yeah.
It felt like it was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I was thinking, why the hell are all these people going into what looks like an old school?
But you can literally say that about Holland V like 10 years ago.
True
Like,
true.
it was impossible to get parking there.
Yeah.
And why are people going to this old houses?
So am I wrong to just think of it as like, wow, it's just going to be a mix of the cool and hip and trendy cafes where if I want an omelette, I pay like $20 and stuff like that. Or am I right or am I wrong? Or am I just a hater?
No lah, you are just the 65% that complain, then end up just vote as per the majority lah.
Yeah, so I haven't been, and honestly, it's not a place that I even have a desire to check out. Maybe once.
Okay.
But to me, it's like gentrification coming together lah. But I don't know. Am I wrong? You've been there a couple of times.
I've been there a lot of times. I think you need to open up your mind a bit lah, Harish.
I'm a hater lah.
Yeah. And the tenant mix is completely different from a mall. A lot of local businesses. Obviously, cost wise, maybe is more in the hipster, like atas Gen Z kind of thing. But at least the experiences are. When you experience it, you're like, okay, that was pretty worth paying for. I had a really good burger at one fattened calf. I can't remember the name. The burger there was really good. It was very run by really nice local aunties and uncles also. We have, I think, coffee, homegrown coffee brands there as well. Expensive also, but it's homegrown and I believe the owner is a fan of Yalabat. Won't mention to it. Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's a very varied experience. Of course, there's an NTUC there, but in a good way, like how NTUC or 7-Eleven was at Holland V, where like, oh, you don't want to buy all this atas stuff, just go to NTUC, get something, sit down at the playground and watch the kids while drinking your.
So I'm a hater lah.
The fact you never go and then you're like, I don't decide to go just because the cars. And over there on the other end, you're like, oh yeah, I know lah. That's a Holland V.
Okay. So I will go. I will go. Then I will hold my judgment. I'm guessing it will be charming. It'll be nice.
Yeah.
But I guess so in terms of new developments, I can see that being this is trying to do that balance lah.
Yeah.
But it just feels like there are things that can be appreciated and celebrated already, but they are dying off lah.
Correct.
But yeah, I did sound like a hater just now. I won't deny it. As I was saying it, I was like, fuck, I sound like one of those people on like Reddit or something.
At least we know how you voted. We know how you voted.
Hey, please do not cast aspersions. But yeah, I will go lah. I will go.
Yeah.
I'll go at some point.
You have to give them all a chance lah. I mean, the other one recently, Lim Chu Kang also was decommissioned and closed. So the moto sports community, they all went there to hang out one last time. You might ask yourself, what's the big deal about a road lah? But a lot of
40 Tiang and all that.
Yeah. A lot of drivers have very good memories of going there. Not even drivers, people who just appreciate cars. They go there to take videos and photos of cars because of the runway there and everything lah, right?
Yeah.
So all these places have their own individual charms that I think only if you go there and you experience it yourself, then you know the value of the place, and so don't keep criticizing if you haven't even tried it lah.
Okay lah. I'm sure people listening also
Caught you red-handed being a hater, man.
Yeah, that one I won't deny. Suddenly the person who runs the cafe also listens. He's like, hey, Arish, give us a chance.
Yeah, give it a chance.
Okay, I'll give a chance. Then I'll report back. I'll report back when I go.
Please, yeah.
I'll report back when I go.
Just don't go on weekends lah. Obviously, you go on weekends, it's going to be packed like shit. But you can go on weekdays or something, right?
Then weekdays, we must record podcast all.
Oh, now complain about podcast. Take 1 week, man COVID break after that complain about having.
Oh, we man COVID, you want me to go to New Baru, is it? Shut up lah. Walao.
Oh man.
All right, cool.
But yes. What is your one Shiok comment?
One Shiok comment was someone who actually emailed us his thoughts about something we spoke about in a previous episode, which is the story of the 52K rental. So, I mean, I think that's why I think if people have thoughts, social media and Reddit is not the only option.
Yeah.
You can email us because we will read every email. Whether sometimes it takes a bit longer to respond, or even if we respond at all, because sometimes it's just a thought which we appreciate. So, I mean, they pointed out something that we kind of alluded to, but didn't really go into great detail. When thinking about why the hell would a clinic want to sign up for a lease where you have to pay 52K in rent, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this person brought up that like when companies are thinking about acquisition or going public or anything, there is this period where they just want to grow their network and make sure there's as much revenue coming in as possible.
Yeah.
Because I think even when people evaluate companies and all, oftentimes you just hear like the revenue is a big deal. And sometimes profit is maybe even secondary.
Yeah.
So in this case, if they are planning in the next few years, and if you look at the founders who started it and all, I mean, they've got external investment, which means you have a return that you want to make for your investors.
Yeah.
Maybe this might be a case. For them, it's like, okay, 52K for 3 years. There's like 1.8 million.
Yeah.
We have plans to sell it or go public. This 1.8 million will be a drop in the water.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a valid perspective. So, thanks for sharing that.
Correct. Yeah.
And what about you, man?
I mean, kind of, I guess, a shout out to someone we mentioned earlier also, right? People did post on our subreddit that, hey, Harish and Terence clean up well. And that's in response to the Peak magazine, which ran a feature on us, right? And there was a nice photo shoot, and the results of the photos were really cool, right?
Yeah.
And kind of, I guess, I don't know whether subconsciously or what, they structured it, making it look like I was very domineering while you were sort of very submissive sitting there.
Yeah. They see the truth, They see the truth compared to what you paint online. This is how I feel every recording, Terence.
But it's a nice photo, and it was one of many we took. But I guess they chose the one that was probably fit the vibe best, right?
Yeah, it's a great photo. And the person who wrote it is the person who wrote the article I quoted just now, Zad Asta, who also wrote about our whole hook shit show for Rise 3 years ago.
Yeah, so shout out to Zad at Peak. So I think he's writing a lot of articles. They're very in the intersection of business, politics and lifestyle.
Yeah.
A very unique take on it, right? Where you don't see a lot of that, but he's in a position because he talks to a lot of CEOs and lifestyle gurus and stuff like that. So he's in that unique position to give that perspective.
And shout out to the makeup artists and photographers I mean, we don't walk around like that.
Yeah. And one of the comments on Reddit was like, wow, looks 10 years younger.
I mean, that one a bit uncalled for
Cool,
but the article also, I mean, it was good So shout out to them and shout out to the commenter.
Yeah, and for your one Shiok comment, one Shiok thing. What is your one Shiok thing?
So there's one Shiok thing I saw, which, I mean, it's part eerie, but part just being aware of it feels like, okay, this is the future. There was this thing that was released a few weeks ago, Google Beam. Have you heard of it?
No.
So it's part of Google's Project Starline, which has been in the works for a few years, and now it's going to be heading out commercially as Google Beam. So what this essentially is, right? I think it's a setup with a screen and 3 cameras, top and the 2 sides, and it's meant to make virtual meetings, right, as like in-person as possible.
I've seen the video demonstration.
Yeah, and there was a video put out by The Verge where the deputy editor used it, and he said it's hard to describe how real it looks because it's kind of 3D even though it's a flat screen.
Yeah.
And because they are recording you with 3 cameras and they are probably recording the other person with 3 cameras, he was just saying that this is the future upgrade to conference calls. And he's basically talking with to a TV in front of him with someone who's almost life-size. And he said it's very hard to describe. Even when you're watching this video, it'll be hard to describe it. But even in the footage, you can kind of see how it's a bit like 3D-ish.
Yeah.
It's going to be commercially available. So you might start seeing this in offices. And, once there's one product on the market, a lot of things would come out. So maybe on phones, right? There might be multiple cameras. Now the camera's only at the top.
Yeah.
So it looks like, oh, shit.
But I thought this was part of the whole wave during COVID when like hybrid work and everything was the the shit. So
I mean, maybe that's when the project was started, but now it's finally becoming commercially available.
okay, no, it wasn't just started back then. I was at least a year or two ago where I first saw a video about it, and back then there was a lot more buzz about hybrid work. So it seemed like it would go in the right direction. Kind of like how the Apple Vision Pro is like, wow, 1 year ago when it was released, everyone's like, wow, amazing.
Yeah. So that's why this one might either survive or might go up. Because, okay, if you think about it, right, work meetings, right, do you really want that high resolution thing,
I would just keep blurring every background if possible. Yeah, I just don't want people to see so much of me.
Then somehow you see, I mean, if you're taking a call from home, sometimes you just want to be a bit, okay, you might have to attend to something or you want to scratch your butt or something. But you can see in 3D.
You and I were on a call just the other day, I think, and then we were sharing a laptop. Then I remember the laptop now I think, I don't know whether it's Zoom or Teams, now it like zooms in on the person's face, right? But because there were two of us, I was very thankful because a lot of times it would zoom in on your face and somehow it just ignored me. And then I got cut out from the picture.
No, because you slowly always creep to the side.
Exactly. But if they just kept a wide angle, I would still be in the shot.
Correct.
Right. But because it kept zooming into you, so I could sneak off and get a drink and everything.
Yeah.
You see?
Then I was like, this.
No, but that's a good thing. You see? Like it doesn't feel so fucking oppressive where like, oh, you have to be there all the time.
Exactly. No, but you know what was the funniest thing about that is because you put a virtual background, right?
Yeah.
So every time Tristan walked behind us, right?
Yeah.
You'd be like a ghost.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I remember that. That, Tristan? It was damn funny because it would just be like your upper half popping in and the upper half popping out.
Like ghost floating.
Yeah, so this kind of thing, I mean, okay, I don't think this will take off.
Yeah.
Because it feels like people don't really want this.
Exactly.
But I mean, it's still interesting lah.
It's the tech companies trying to force us to, like be online all the time and use the services.
And make it as real as possible. Is that people want? I mean, the cool thing is like maybe there's something when it comes to entertainment that you're watching stand-up comedy, for example.
Okay. Then you want the 3D experience.
I don't know. But you watch the video, it's a bit creepy.
Creepy, I think I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, I mean, just worth watching because if this is being developed and being commercially available, it might go down the path of like, the Snapchat glasses or some shit like that and go nowhere, or Google Glass.
Yeah.
But yeah.
My one Shiok thing is in the vein of supporting local, kind of, there's this, I think, British Sri Lankan artist, Sahi Siva, who did a song that featured Young Raja in it a few months ago, 9 months ago. It's called Vidum. Vidum. It's a Tamil rap hip hop song, right? And I don't know why I was just checking out Young Raja's stuff and this collab came up, and it's a banging track that regardless of whether you speak Tamil or not, you gotta love it.
What's it called again?
Venum, like Venom, Venum. Venum. I don't know whether that's the Tamil way of saying Venom, right? But it's Venum, and then like it's just the music video is also pretty crazy. It's really out there, and Young Raja is, as usual, very cool in it. So yeah, I mean, now I'm starting to listen to Tamil songs on my Spotify. Yeah.
Mean in Tamil, what does Venum? It does mean venom.
It means venom, right? Yeah, I see.
I was ready to shit on you. I'll be like, this is like some culturally significant.
No. Hey, I appreciate the culture a lot more. Maybe more than you.
No, wait. According to Google AI, it says need or want.
Oh, need or want. Okay.
But Google Translate says venom. Okay. Hey, Google, can you get your act together or not?
Yeah, trust AI to do its thing. So we need Tamil speakers to help us
we need
properly
Tamil speakers.
it.
But
Sahi Siva Venum featuring Young Raja.
Nice. Okay, cool. So that's the end of the podcast. Remember to follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Reddit. Please follow us and Facebook. The conversations are popping there.
Yeah.
And what else, Terence?
You want to work with us? Check us. Email us at contact@ministryofunny.com. Or even better, you want to see us live performing on stage, get your tickets for the Happy Ever Laughter Party from 19th to 27th June at the Capitol Theatre. And we'll put a link in the discount where you can get up to, in the show notes where you can get a discount of up to 20% for every show except I think the last show. But yeah, the link is in the show notes. Cool. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll talk to you all soon.